Part 1. The Iron Alpha. I hold a heavy black remote control in my hand. This small plastic box gives me absolute power over life and death. I am the most famous dog trainer in the country. People pay millions to learn my secrets. But my entire empire is built on total, invisible terror. I demand perfect discipline from my animals. I use electric shock collars to force absolute submission. The world calls me the ultimate alpha. I write popular books about dominance and control. I believe animals are simply weapons. They exist only to serve human commands without question. My younger brother, Sam, is a pathetic disappointment. He was born with a physical disability and walks with a heavy limp. He works for me as a simple cleaner. He spends his days picking up dirty waste in the dark kennels. I feel completely ashamed of his weak existence. Sam refuses to use my strict training methods. He never raises his voice or punishes the animals. He sits on the dirty floor, speaking softly to the dangerous dogs. He gently touches their heads and feeds them from his own hands. I consider his soft emotions completely disgusting. My best dog is a massive, black German Shepherd named Rex. Rex is a perfect, flawless machine. He obeys my every command instantly. He drops to the ground the moment I look at him. I show Rex to the rich clients as the ultimate proof of my brilliant system. But I am entirely blind to the dangerous truth. Rex drops to the ground because he is absolutely terrified of the electric shock. One afternoon, I turn my back to walk away from his cage. I do not see the sudden, terrifying change in his body language. Rex stops acting like a perfectly trained soldier. The thick hair on his neck stands up completely straight. He lowers his head, and a deep, silent growl vibrates in his chest. His dark eyes burn with intense, suppressed hatred. He is not loyal. He is awaiting bomb. Late that night, I walk through the quiet kennels. I see a shadow moving near the cages. It is Sam. He is quietly unlocking the cages and removing the heavy electric collars from the sleeping dogs. He wants them to rest peacefully without the heavy metal pressing against their skin. A sudden, violent anger explodes in my mind. I rush forward and grab his weak shoulder. I throw him hard against the cold concrete wall. He falls to the dirty floor, holding his bruised arm. You are ruining my perfect weapons. I whisper with cold, freezing hatred. I snatch the collars from his hands. I put them back on the dogs and turn the electric voltage up to the maximum level. Dogs are dangerous tools, not your stupid pets. I state firmly. I leave my brother crying on the floor, completely confident in my cruel methods. Part 2. The Midnight Syringe. The biggest day of my professional career finally arrives. I am hosting a massive, national K9 demonstration. The highest police commanders and wealthy politicians are coming to watch my dogs perform. This single event will make me incredibly rich. I need the animals to act like absolute monsters today. I push the dogs incredibly hard during the final morning practice. I press the black button on my remote control constantly. The electric shocks force them to run faster and bite harder. Several dogs have dark, fresh blood dripping slowly from their mouths. I completely ignore their obvious pain. I walk back to my luxury office to prepare my clothes. I sit at my desk and look at the security camera monitors. The cameras show every corner of the large training facility. I notice movement in the small medical supply room. I zoom the camera in quickly. Sam is standing near the medical cabinet. He looks extremely nervous. He checks the hallway to make sure nobody is watching him. He opens the glass cabinet and takes out a small glass bottle. He uses a needle to pull a thick, cloudy liquid into a plastic syringe. He hides the syringe carefully inside his jacket. He walks quietly toward the main holding area where my best dogs are resting. I watch the screen, feeling a sharp, cold wave of suspicion. My weak brother is planning to ruin my greatest show. I leave my office and follow him silently through the dark shadows. I hide behind a large wooden door. I watch Sam enter Rex's cage. He speaks softly to the massive black dog. He gently rubs the dog's neck. Then he pushes the sharp needle into Rex's back leg. He injects the cloudy liquid into my best weapon. He repeats this exact same action with 5 other leading dogs. I stand in the shadows, watching him perform this terrible crime. I expect him to pull out a knife or hurt the animals, but he just kisses their heads. My arrogant mind immediately creates a perfect, simple story. Sam is jealous of my massive success. He knows the police commanders are coming today. He is injecting the dogs with a dangerous drug to make them sick and lazy. He wants me to look like a terrible trainer. I do not stop him. I do not run forward and grab the syringe. A dark, cruel smile forms on my face. I decide to let him finish his dirty work. I want the dogs to look slightly tired during the show. I am confident I can force them to perform anyway. I plan to use this secret security video after the show ends. I will show the police exactly what he did. I will use his crime as the perfect excuse to fire him and throw him out of my life forever. I think I am a brilliant genius. Part 3. The Fatal Signals. The national demonstration begins under a bright, hot sun. Hundreds of important officials sit in the expensive VIP seats. I stand proudly in the center of the large green field. I hold a microphone, speaking confidently about the absolute power of discipline. I am the king of the field. 6 massive dogs, led by Rex, stand in a perfect, straight line beside me. They do not move a single muscle. The audience claps loudly, amazed by their incredible obedience. I smile at the crowd. I am completely ready to show them the ultimate power of my training system. Sam is standing far away, near the edge of the tall metal fence. He looks completely pale and terrified. Sweat pours down his face. He is not looking at me or the cheering crowd. He is staring directly at the 6 dogs. He sees a terrifying reality that I completely miss. My arrogant eyes only see perfect, quiet soldiers. But Sam understands the secret, silent language of the animals. He sees the dogs constantly licking their lips in deep distress. He sees them yawning nervously. He sees their tails tucked tightly under their bodies. These are critical calming signals. Sam notices their dark eyes. The dogs are showing the whites of their eyes. It is a classic warning sign called the whale eye. They are not calm or disciplined. They are experiencing absolute, crushing psychological terror. They are pushed to the very edge of their mental breaking point. I point to a man wearing a thick, protective bite suit at the end of the field. I raise my microphone. Watch the perfect execution of the Alpha command. I announce loudly. I press a button on my remote to give them a tiny warning shock. Attack! I shout sharply. The crowd holds their breath, waiting for the dogs to run toward the man in the suit. But the dogs completely ignore my loud command. They do not move toward the target. Instead, the 6 massive animals turn their heads at the exact same time. They do not look at the man in the protective suit. They turn around and look directly at the VIP seating area. They bare their sharp, white teeth. Deep, unnatural growls vibrate from their chests. The absolute control I thought I possessed is instantly and completely shattered. The audience stops clapping. A cold, heavy silence falls over the entire green field. The officials slowly realize something is terribly wrong. I press the shock button again, feeling a sudden rush of pure panic. But the dogs do not look at me. The Alpha Command is dead. Part 4. The Reversed Hunt. Rex barks once. The sound is incredibly sharp and terrifying. The invisible chain of command breaks completely. The 6 massive dogs explode forward with unbelievable speed. They do not run toward the safe target. They charge directly toward the crowded VIP seats, driven by pure, wild madness. The audience screams in absolute horror. Wealthy men and police commanders panic, climbing over their chairs to escape the furious animals. The dogs jump onto the low fence, snapping their bloody jaws at the running people. The perfect demonstration turns into a chaotic, bloody nightmare in seconds. I stand in the middle of the field, totally shocked by the sudden violence. My life's work is collapsing in front of me. I look at the heavy black remote control in my shaking hand. I turn the voltage dial all the way up to the absolute maximum level. I press the main red button, holding it down completely. I send a massive, agonizing electric shock into the necks of all 6 dogs. I expect them to fall to the grass, crying in pain. I expect the intense torture to force them back into complete submission. The massive shock hits them hard. But my cruel punishment creates a devastating, opposite reaction. The terrible pain does not make them scared. It instantly activates their deepest, most primitive survival instincts. The pain flips a dark switch in their brains. They become true, wild predators. They instantly realize the source of their terrible agony. They stop attacking the screaming audience. Rex turns his massive, dark head slowly. He looks directly at me standing alone in the center of the field. His eyes are completely black and empty of any fear. He sees the black remote control in my hand. He recognizes me as the ultimate threat to his life. Rex lets out a furious, demonic roar. The other 5 dogs turn away from the fence. They form a tight, perfect hunting pack. They lock their deadly focus entirely on me. My heart stops beating. The remote control falls from my trembling fingers. I am no longer the powerful alpha. I am just weak, fragile meat standing in an open field. The 6 dogs charge toward me, their sharp teeth shining in the bright sun. The hunt is completely reversed. I turn around and try to run. My legs feel like heavy lead. I hear their powerful paws hitting the grass right behind me. I hear their heavy, angry breathing. I stumble and fall hard onto the green ground. I close my eyes, waiting for the deadly, tearing teeth. Part 5. The Perfect Prey. I lie on the grass, paralyzed by absolute, suffocating terror. The heavy dogs leap into the air, ready to crush my throat. The armed SWAT officers in the crowd finally pull their weapons. But they cannot shoot. I am surrounded by the dogs. A bullet would easily kill me too. I wait for the brutal pain, but a sharp, incredibly loud noise pierces the chaotic air. It is a high-frequency ultrasonic dog whistle. The sound is deafening. The dogs instantly freeze in their tracks, just inches away from my face. They turn their heads toward the sudden, strange noise. I open my eyes and look across the field. Sam is standing in the middle of the green grass. He threw the silver whistle onto the ground. He reaches down and violently tears his jacket open. He rips his shirt off, exposing his chest to the hot sun. He is wearing a thick, white undershirt. The shirt is completely soaked in fresh, dark red blood. He stands tall, despite his broken leg. He waves his arms wildly in the air, shouting at the top of his lungs. He makes himself look as large and loud as possible. The smell of the fresh blood hits the dogs immediately. The powerful, wild scent completely hijacks their predatory brains. Sam is acting exactly like a wounded, highly visible animal. He is offering himself as the ultimate, irresistible prize. He intentionally becomes the perfect prey. The dogs forget about me entirely. Rex barks loudly, leading the pack away from my trembling body. They charge across the field directly toward my brother. Sam does not run away. He does not scream for help. He stands perfectly still, waiting for the violent, bloody impact. The massive dogs hit him with terrifying force. They knock him to the ground instantly. I watch in absolute horror as the wild animals begin to tear his body apart. They bite his arms and his chest violently. The sound of tearing flesh echoes across the silent, shocked field. He uses his own weak, disabled body to create a bloody barrier between the dogs and the audience. He buys the SWAT team the clear, open space they desperately need. The officers finally have a safe target. They raise their heavy rifles and open fire. The loud gunshots ring out endlessly. The police shoot all 6 dogs precisely, killing them instantly. The heavy animals fall dead on top of my brother. The field becomes completely quiet again. The nightmare is over. I crawl across the grass toward him, crying uncontrollably. I pull the heavy, dead dogs off his ruined body. Sam is lying on his back, covered in dark blood. His eyes are open, staring peacefully at the blue sky. He is completely, permanently gone. He sacrificed his own life to save the brother who hated him. Part 6. The Cowardly Accusation. The police wrapped the entire field in yellow tape. The national demonstration is officially labeled a horrific massacre. The media calls me a dangerous fraud. The government seizes my facility immediately. I sit in a cold police interrogation room, facing decades in federal prison for reckless endangerment. The detectives demand an explanation. They want to know why the highly trained animals suddenly turned into bloodthirsty killers. My entire empire is completely destroyed. I am desperate to save my own freedom. I need someone else to take the blame for the terrible disaster. I make the most cowardly, disgusting decision of my entire life. I tell the detectives about the secret security video. I tell them I saw Sam in the medical room. I pull my phone out and show them the footage of Sam injecting the dogs the night before. He was incredibly jealous of my success. I lie smoothly, wiping a fake tear from my eye. He hated my training methods. He sneaked into the kennels and injected them with heavy, illegal amphetamines. He used dangerous drugs to make them violent and crazy. He caused this tragedy. The detectives watched the video closely. The evidence looks absolutely perfect. Sam looks exactly like a guilty criminal sneaking around in the dark. The police officially closed the investigation. They publicly announced that Sam was a disturbed, angry man who drugged the animals out of personal revenge. I walk out of the police station a free man. I successfully push all my guilt and my terrible crimes onto the silent ghost of my brother. I return to my empty, ruined facility to collect my belongings. I feel a sick, cold relief in my dark heart. A few days later, a forensic investigator knocks on my door. He holds a brown folder. We finished the toxicology report on the dead animals. He says quietly, "We analyzed the chemical liquid your brother injected into their muscles." I nod confidently, expecting him to confirm my lie. "The liquid was not a stimulant, Victor," the investigator states, his voice full of deep disgust. "It was not an amphetamine. Your brother injected them with a massive dose of xylazine and acepromazine. It is an incredibly powerful, heavy veterinary sedative." The room starts to spin slowly. "What do you mean?" I whisper, my throat completely dry. The investigator throws the heavy folder onto my desk. "He did not try to make them crazy. He tried to put them to sleep. He tried to calm them down. He tried to save you." The terrifying truth hits my arrogant mind like a physical blow. Sam did not poison the dogs to ruin the show. He used heavy sedatives to protect me from them. He knew the disaster was coming. My perfect, comfortable lie shatters into a million sharp, bloody pieces. Part 7. The Language of Abuse. I sit alone in my dark office, staring at the forensic report. If Sam injected them with heavy sedatives, why did they attack so violently? I whisper to the empty room. Why didn't the drugs make them fall asleep? I desperately need to understand his final actions. I walk slowly to the back of the facility. I enter Sam's small, poor bedroom. It smells like cheap soap and old books. I search his small wooden desk. I find a thick, heavy notebook hidden under his pillow. I open the pages with trembling fingers. The notebook is completely filled with complex, detailed observations. Sam wrote thousands of notes about the dog's behavior. He did not write about hatred or jealousy. He wrote a brilliant, profound psychological study of my terrible abuse. The words burn directly into my soul. Victor does not understand them. Sam wrote on a tear-stained page. The electric collars do not create respect. The constant, inescapable pain creates a condition called learned helplessness. The dogs feel totally trapped. The fear is slowly mutating into a pure, desperate killer instinct. They will explode tomorrow. Sam knew the truth. He read the silent signals perfectly. He saw the licking lips, the tucked tails, and the whale eyes. He knew the dogs were going to snap during the public show. He tried to warn me, but he knew I would just beat him again. Because I refused to listen, Sam made a desperate, secret plan. He decided to use the veterinary sedatives. He wanted to paralyze their jaw muscles so they could not bite the audience. He sneaked into the dark cages to save my life and protect the innocent people. But Sam also wrote about his deepest fear on the very last page. I gave them the maximum dose. He wrote nervously. But Victor pushes them too hard. The electric shocks cause massive spikes of adrenaline in their blood. I am terrified the natural adrenaline will completely override the chemical sedative. The horrific reality finally becomes perfectly clear. The sedative did not fail because the dose was wrong. The sedative failed because I pressed the button on my remote control. I sent a massive shock of electricity into their necks right before the attack command. My cruel punishment created a massive explosion of survival adrenaline in their bodies. The pure terror completely neutralized Sam's life-saving medicine. My arrogant need for control actively destroyed the only thing protecting me from their sharp teeth. I caused the massacre completely on my own. I dropped the heavy notebook onto the floor. I am the sole architect of the bloody disaster. I abused the animals, and I killed my own brother. The unbearable weight of the absolute truth begins to crush my mind completely. I cannot breathe in the quiet room. Part 8. The Sacrificial Choice. I fall to my knees in Sam's small bedroom, crying uncontrollably. I pick up the notebook again, desperate to read his final words. I turn to the very last page, written quickly on the morning of the terrible demonstration. The ink is messy and rushed. I know the drugs might fail today. Sam wrote, his words shaking on the paper. The alpha is too cruel. The dogs are too broken. If they attack the crowd, the police will shoot blindly. Innocent people will die. Victor will die. I cannot let that happen. The super twist of his brilliant, loving mind reveals itself completely. Sam did not run onto the field by accident. His heroic action was a carefully prepared, calculated strategy. I bought a bottle of strong animal pheromones and fresh cow blood from the butcher. He wrote quietly. I soaked my undershirt in the blood and the chemicals this morning. Sam explained. If the dogs lose their minds, they will hunt the easiest, most attractive target. I have a bad leg. I cannot run. If I wear the bloody shirt, I become the highest value prey on the field. He intentionally prepared himself to be eaten alive. He knew his disabled body was the perfect, irresistible bait for a pack of wild predators. He knew exactly how much pain he was going to suffer. He chose to wear that bloody shirt anyway. I will pull their attention away from the crowd. Sam's final sentence completely destroys my heart. I will buy the police enough time to shoot clearly. I will die today, but Victor will live. Maybe he will finally understand that love is stronger than fear. He planned his own gruesome execution perfectly. He accepted the tearing teeth and the breaking bones to ensure I did not get a single scratch. He used his broken body as a shield to protect a brother who treated him like absolute garbage. I remember watching the dogs tear him apart. I remember his peaceful face looking at the blue sky. He did not scream because he knew his plan was working. He bought the SWAT team the exact seconds they needed to save my miserable, worthless life. I hold the notebook against my chest, screaming his name into the empty house. The guilt is an impossible, burning fire in my brain. I traded a pure, beautiful soul for a plastic remote control. I am the true monster of this story. I slowly realize my punishment is not over. The police investigation is finished, but the universe demands absolute justice. The final, darkest secret of my cruel empire is waiting for me at the veterinary clinic. I must face the true depth of my evil actions. Part 9. The Voiceless Agony. The next morning, I receive a formal letter from the State Veterinary Board. The police officially cleared my name of criminal charges, but the Animal Welfare Department conducted a full autopsy on the 6 dead dogs. The letter demands my immediate presence at the medical facility. I walk into the bright, cold examination room. The chief veterinarian stands next to a metal table. He looks at me with absolute, pure hatred. We found something incredibly disturbing during the autopsy, Victor. The doctor says quietly. We discovered why the dogs attacked in complete silence. I stare at the doctor, feeling a sudden chill. They were highly trained not to bark. I reply defensively. I taught them perfect discipline. The doctor laughs a bitter, dark laugh. He pulls back a white sheet, revealing the scarred neck of the massive dog Rex. You didn't teach them discipline. The doctor states firmly. You mutilated them. The super, haunting twist of my terrible training method is fully exposed. The doctor points a silver pen at the ruined tissue inside the dog's throat. The vocal cords are completely, permanently burned away. For many years, whenever a dog barked during training, I turned the electric collar to the absolute maximum setting. I sent thousands of volts directly into their throats. I burned their delicate vocal cords and destroyed the sensitive nerves completely. I physically removed their ability to make a sound. They didn't attack in silence because they were disciplined soldiers. The doctor whispers, tears forming in his eyes. They attacked in silence because they physically could not scream for help. You tortured them so badly they lost their voices. They suffered unimaginable agony without making a single sound. The horrific truth paralyzes my mind. The perfect obedience I sold to the world was just the result of brutal, silent torture. The dogs did not attack the crowd to hunt. They attacked in a blind, silent panic, trying desperately to escape the monster who burned their throats. You are a disgusting psychopath, the doctor says coldly. I am sending this report to the media. You will never touch an animal again. I walk out of the clinic in a complete daze. The heavy, crushing weight of my crimes finally breaks my mind entirely. I destroyed the innocent animals. I burned their voices away. I caused the bloody massacre. And I murdered the most gentle, loving brother in the world. The reality of my evil existence is far too massive for my brain to process. My sanity slowly begins to slip away. I drive back to the empty, ruined training facility. The large green field is quiet. The cages are completely empty. I am totally alone in the dark. I have lost my money, my reputation, my brother, and my mind. I am ready to accept my final punishment. Part 10. The Alpha's Color. The news of the autopsies spreads across the country. The public completely turns against me. My books are burned. My bank accounts are frozen by massive lawsuits. I am universally hated as the cruelest animal abuser in history. But I do not care about the money or the fame anymore. I lock the heavy metal gates of the training facility from the inside. I throw the keys away into the tall grass. I walk slowly toward the dark, empty kennels. The smell of the animals still lingers in the cold air. The silence is absolutely deafening. I walk into Rex's empty, dirty cage. I sit on the cold concrete floor. I look at my hands. They are the hands of a cruel, arrogant killer. My mind completely fractures into 1,000 broken pieces. The guilt consumes me, pulling me deeply into a dark, permanent madness. I reach into my pocket and pull out a heavy, black, electric training collar. It is the exact same collar I used to torture the innocent dogs. I open the thick plastic strap. I wrap it slowly and tightly around my own neck. I lock the metal buckle securely. I pick up the heavy black remote control. I turn the voltage dial all the way up to the maximum, deadly level. I look at the dark shadows of the empty cages. I imagine Sam walking quietly down the hallway, holding a warm bowl of food. I drop to the dirty floor on my hands and knees. I become the animal I abused. I press the red button on the remote control. A massive, agonizing electric shock blasts through my neck. I scream in terrible, blinding pain. My muscles lock completely, forcing me to the ground. I release the button, gasping for air. The pain is horrific, but it feels exactly right. It is the perfect, necessary punishment. I press the button again. Another massive shock tears through my body. I cry loudly in the dark, crawling across the dirty concrete floor. I crawl toward the heavy metal door of the cage. I look out into the empty hallway. I open my mouth and begin to bark. I bark loudly and desperately into the darkness. I cry and whimper like a scared, broken animal begging for mercy. I press the button again and again, punishing myself for every single sin. I am no longer the powerful, arrogant alpha. I am just a broken creature trapped in a dark cage. I bark until my throat bleeds, hoping the ghost of my gentle brother will hear me. I wait in the cold shadows, shocking myself endlessly. I wait for Sam to walk down the hall, unlock the heavy door, and gently remove the collar from my bleeding neck. I wait for a forgiveness that will absolutely never come.